What is Anzac Day? I think this is the first time that I have heard the term Anzac Day. No idea what, is it a holiday? Kind of like a holiday, maybe? I'm assuming that it's like, it's gotta be like an Aboriginal heritage holiday that you guys all celebrate. But the real question is, do you have to work on Anzac Day? Because from some of our previous videos that we've done, I learned that you guys get some days off for AFL big sporting events. Do you get Anzac Day off? All right, this one's coming from ClickView, the channel. I'll have a link to their channel down in the description below. But without further ado, yeah, let me have you watch this American learn what Anzac Day is. We got Einstein here? Also, am I pronouncing this right? Anzac? Seems pretty straight.
Every year in Australia, we commemorate a very important day in Australian history known as Anzac Day.
Okay, hold up really quick. Where is this at, though? China. This place looks really cool. Like, this is like beautiful architecture.
At this time of the year, you might sometimes bake Anzac biscuits or stand in silence to reflect and remember Anzac soldiers.
Okay, military. My bad.
But do you know who the Anzacs were and why it is important that we commemorate this day?
I'm going to stop guessing.
In 1914, the world was in turmoil at the outbreak of World War I. Though Australia and New Zealand were considered young nations, both of these countries came together to help their British allies in the war.
Okay.
These soldiers were called Anzacs, which stands for Australia and New Zealand Army Corps.
It's all making sense. It was an acronym. I did say, I was like, is it a acronym? It is.
On the 25th of April 1915, the Anzacs travelled to a place called the Gallipoli Peninsula to capture the Turkish capital of Istanbul, known then as Constantinople. However, they were met by a fierce defence from Ottoman Turkish soldiers. What they had hoped to be a quick campaign turned out to be 8 months of brutal warfare.
Jeez.
8 months after their arrival, the Anzacs evacuated from Gallipoli, but not before many soldiers had given their life or suffered great injuries. In fact, over 10,000 Anzacs died at the fierce hand of the war at Gallipoli.
Gee, I had no idea.
Upon their return, Australia has commemorated Anzac Day since the 25th of April 1916, 1 year after the Anzacs first arrived at Gallipoli. There are many symbols and emblems that you might recognise on Anzac Day. Let's have a look at a few of them. Yum, an Anzac biscuit.
The biscuits?
It can be fun to help bake these and even more fun to eat around Anzac Day. But it's a bit funny to remember Anzac Day by eating a biscuit, isn't it? Where did they come from?
Is this what they ate?
The Anzac biscuit we have today is similar to a type of food many of the Anzac soldiers carried with them. Because they didn't have fridges or shops to get food from, the soldiers needed to eat food that would not go bad over time. Many carried the first Anzac biscuits, which were a substitute for bread. Though they can be a tasty treat, they also help us remember some of the struggles Anzac soldiers went through.
Yeah, we have something similar with some of the world wars. Gosh, I can't remember them off the top of my head. But I know a big one, not really food, but coffee. Like having dripped coffee, a cup of joe, really came from... I don't know if it was, I think it was maybe World War II. That was like when it became popular because Americans, when they went to war, would make the drip coffee because that was the easiest way that they could make coffee out in the field. And then when they came back home, they implemented drip coffee, and that's when it became popular in America. Kind of similar to the biscuit, right? I think we probably had some food as well. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Another symbol you might recognize are flowers, such as red poppies or rosemary flowers.
Okay.
Red poppies were famously found growing in some of the most brutal locations of World War I, such as northern France and Belgium, after the war had ended. Rosemary flowers symbolize memory and were found scattered throughout the peninsula at Gallipoli. Because these flowers are very symbolic, they are used as a way for us to remember those fallen by war. They can often be seen being laid down in remembrance of fallen soldiers during days such as Anzac Day.
And then you cook with them afterwards. Totally kidding.
The original Anzac Day was significant because not only was it a day to remember and pay respects to the families and friends of those that had died in war, it also played a major part in forming an Australian identity of courage and mateship that is still important today.
Yeah, because you guys were such a new country back then, right? And I apologize if you can hear my kids screaming. They all just bombarded through the door. Now the dog's barking. It's chaos.
Whilst the Anzac legend lives on, soldiers from Australia have defended our country in other wars since World War I. This means that when we commemorate Anzac Day, we remember those that have given their lives in service of our country on other occasions as well. There are many ways Anzac Day is commemorated today. Often people will rise for a dawn service. These services are held at dawn each year because this was the same time Anzac soldiers originally arrived on Gallipoli shores. What are some of the other ways we remember those in our past and present who have committed themselves to the service of our country on Anzac Day?
That was really, really quick. All right, I know what Anzac Day is now. I know that was from World War I. Do you guys have any other, I don't want to say holidays, memorial days or commemorative days that you have from World War II? Send them my way. I'd love to check them out. Learn a little bit more about Australian military history. It's fascinating. All right, I'm getting out of here. Appreciate you guys watching. I know it was a short one, but I'll see you in the next one. Peace.